Hello? Agent BG, how may I help you? You need an escort. I haven't done that since college. Oh. You want me to escort a witness? Oh, flight risk. Okay. I see. Spoilers? Say it again, sir. I'm sorry. Spoilers? Okay. Okay. I'm on top of it. Got the mission. You said spoilers? Okay, spoilers for sure. Okay, I'm on the mission. Thank you. Flight Risk is a 2025 movie directed by Mel Gibson, starring Mark Wahlberg, Michelle Dockery, and Topper Grace. Flight Risk begins in an old, dirty, rusty hotel. I mean, a filthy, dirty hotel. The kind of hotel that's so dirty that you might walk in on a bed bug and a crab making out. That's how dirty his hotel room was. So it starts off with Topper Grace putting a cup of noodles into the microwave. I mean, it's a dirty microwave. And as he put the cup of noodles inside the microwave, he heard a dump on his window. So he goes over to see what it is. He goes look out the window. He didn't see anything. All of a sudden, a big giant moose, an actual moose, like staring at his face through the window, scared the crap out of me. That was a pretty good jump scare, I will say that. You got me on that one. Then moments later, you had FBI agents busting through the door. And immediately after the FBI agents bust through the door, the guy, Topper Grace, he immediately decided to turn witness against some big time drug lord. So during the course of that, they arrested, he made their deal to turn state against the big time drug lord that they've been trying to get for years, but they never had anybody to testify. So he was willing to testify in order for him to get complete immunity from all charges. So the lead FBI agent is played by Michelle Dockery. She's the lead detective in the situation. So she made a call into her base, and they kind of berated her and was like, "Oh, you just getting off the desk, and why they put you on something this important? You just getting off the desk." So it was alluding to that she was in trouble for something in the past, and they had her on suspension or something like that, and they just taken her off suspension and put her on a case like this. And she thought it was pretty strange that they did it. So it goes on and on for a couple of minutes of that situation. Then she finally gets an agreement to transport Mr. Topper Grace. I can't remember his character name, so I'm going to say Topper Grace because that's his real name. So they let Miss Michelle Dockery know that they have a plane set up for her, to transport him from Alaska, because that's where they found him at in Alaska. They didn't explain that until after they got there, and the same time, I'm telling you this, it's the same time we just discovered that they transporting him from Alaska to New York. So once they get to the plane, they go get on this little rusty plane first. She puts him on there and locks him in, put handcuffs on him and things like that while they wait on the pilot. So all of a sudden the pilot comes, Mark Wahlberg. Back in the day, he used to be a rapper, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. I ain't letting you forget that. The song Good Vibrations. Oh, yeah, Mark Wahlberg, that was you when you was younger. That was you. I ain't letting that go. So he gets on the plane and he starts having conversations with the female FBI agent. He got this weird southern country accent, and it sounds terrible. You can tell it's forced. I mean, he's a better actor than that. I mean, that southern accent was terrible. I mean, it was terrible. So anyway, it goes on and on for a while. The movie's called Flight Plan, so of course the plane went off. They took him. They flying in the air. The guy Topper Grace, he's handcuffed, and he discovers that there's something on the floor. So you probably seen this in the preview. The preview shows a little too much sometimes. I always say that. So once he was sitting there, he discovered something on the floor, so he slid his feet and he looked at it and he saw a picture of the guy with the name that this pilot pretended that he was. It was the person's face with the same name. So he realized right away that something was wrong. But the female FBI agent, she couldn't hear it because she had the ear things on, like when you fly on a plane. So it's like soundproof. So all he could do is like try to get her attention. So he doing everything in the world, kicking things and making all kinds of hand gestures to try to get her attention when she didn't really pay much. So he realized that he had buttons on his shirt. So what he did was he bit one of his buttons off his shirt and kind of spit it. I mean, that was amazing range for somebody to spit a button. I'm talking about at least 10 feet. He spit that button at least 10 feet. It was amazing. It was really amazing. So he finally got her attention, and she looking back at him. He telling her, well, I gotta go to the bathroom. And she like, well, I don't care. I'm not letting you go to no bathroom. So he trying to make up any reason so he can get her to come back there so he can tell her what's going on without alerting the pilot, which is Mark Wilbert. At the time, he trying not to alert him that he's letting her know that he knows that the pilot is not real and it's a setup and somebody might be trying to get him. So she pretty much told the prisoner guy, Topper Grace, well, you're just gonna have to deal with it. And she put her earphones back on, and she started to notice weird things on the pilot, like he had a scratch on his arm, which you saw in the preview, and he had a scratch on his neck. And he went to reach over for something, and she noticed it was a bloody spot on the arm, like if it was a bullet wound or something, somebody may have had that shirt on. So she noticed things like that, but she didn't say anything. But she started to realize that things was weird with the pilot, and he may not be who he pretended to be. So that goes on for me about 10, 15 minutes of her just staring at him and looking back at the inmate because she's on to it now. And once the pilot realized that she was on to it, he began to attack her with some kind of box cutter. He had a box cutter, so he began to attack her. He had her all tied up. And of course the guy in the back, he's still chained up, but he had a little bit of reach where he could do something. So when Mr. Walt Wilbur went to try to stab, he wasn't trying to stab the FBI agent because he said he had special plans for them. Now I'm going to have to put a pause right here because I got to put a disclosure. Due to YouTube guidelines and regulations, you cannot say certain words. So I'm going to use certain words in place of what he constantly kept saying. Back to the review. So he constantly kept making threats about, I'm going to use the word tape. A word that begins with tape. I can't say it. You can't say the word on YouTube. So he constantly threatened them with that. He said once he get them on the ground, he's going to do that to her and he's going to do that to him. So at the time he got her with some kind of tie seal around her neck. The thing that cops use for the handcuffs, the plastic handcuffs, he had one around her neck, and the guy behind, he was kind of loose, so he actually broke loose. He kicked him a little bit, so when he kicked him, he got off balance, and the female officer, she was able to take control of him because she kept a taser on her at all times, which you seen in the preview also, that she tased him. When she tased him, he had a wig on. His wig came back. It was weird. I don't even understand why that was even in the movie. It was weird. But yeah, so his wig fall back, and she tased him to the point where he passed out, and she handcuffed him, had him handcuffed in the back. The guy, Topper Grace, he eventually got to sit up front with the FBI agent. So pretty much, for most of the movie, it's about the female FBI agent trying to fly a plane. She's never flew a plane before, and the guy behind, which is Mark Wilbert, he's refusing to help because he's a hitman. But he's a hitman who don't get paid. And like I said, they keep alluding to that his only payment is he get the, I don't say the word violate, he get to violate whoever he catches, and that's all he want. That's all he wants is his payment to violate people before he murdered them. And he could burn wherever he want. So that was his sort of payment once they was asking him, because the guy, Topper Grace, he kept making deals with him like, I'll pay you double if you just leave me alone, just walk away, leave me alone, just let me live. And teach her how to fly the plane and tell us how to fly the plane. So he refused to do it, and he sits back there so long you actually forget he's sitting back there. So most of the movie is about pretty much the female FBI agent trying to get the witness to New York, and she's using the radio to contact people on the ground, and she found a strange person, and he's trying to guide her how to fly the plane. She's not really trusting him because the way he sound like he's being suspicious. But she also had a satellite cell phone. You know, they don't go off towers. So she called her boss, which is a female, which is a close friend of hers, and she was talking kind of suspicious. She was saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna have people on the ground wait on you, and yeah, okay, we got the details of the guy trying to kill you. He was the pilot and things like that. We understand the mission. We understand what's going on, so we're gonna be waiting on the ground for you once we land." So the female FBI agent, she found that was kind of fishy, just the way it was. So she was asking to speak to the head boss, which is a guy. He's the head boss of the whole unit. And she started explaining to the head boss that she thinks someone in the unit is a double agent, is really working for the other side, and she don't know who to trust. And he was telling her, "You can trust me, and I'm gonna make sure that when you land, we're gonna handle everything, we're gonna straighten everything out." So as she was talking to the main boss, which is the main guy, Mark Wilbert in the back, he breaks loose a little bit from the handcuffs. She got him chained up in the back, and he starts to attack her again. And once again, the guy Topper Grace, he's some kind of way, kicked him. He's a real scared, timid type guy, but he was able to help her again that time. He kicked him off, and same thing happened again. She ended up restraining him and locking him back up again. And the guy Topper Grace, he was explaining to her, because he was actually the big time drug dealer. The reason why they wanted him, because he was actually the bookkeeper and the accountant. And he was telling the female FBI agent there was always somebody getting $25,000 a month. It was untraceable until a couple of years ago. Somebody finally caught on to it. And he said he knew who the person is, so this is why they was trying to get to him and kill him before he was able to testify. So the female agent first thought it came in the head, like she said, she thought it was the female that she worked for, her immediate boss. She thought it was her setting her up because she had a thing, and she was talking real strange, so she was letting her know, "Look, I made a mistake. I don't think it's you no more. I think it's your boss. I think he the one who's out, because I believe his name is on the list of getting $25,000 a month. Instead of, I'm sorry, I made a mistake." So her boss, she cursed her out, like called her the B word. Like, how can you do this to me? How can you not believe me after all these years? All that kind of stuff. So she was like, "Okay, I'm going to handle it. I'll call you back." So, and she was like, "Well, I'm going to call back the guy who was helping me fly the plane." So she calls him back, that was helping her guide the plane. She didn't trust it first. They flirt back and forward. Actually flirt back and forward about once he get her to land, they got to go to dinner at 6 o'clock. And, she just entertained him. She agreed to it. And keep in mind, the guy, Mark is still in the back. Well, Mark Wilbert, still in the back. He eventually breaks loose again. This time they go through a struggle, and and eventually she stabs him up to the point where he can't do anything. This is I fast forward a whole lot, because like I said, it was mostly about her and the witness on the plane trying to fly the plane, but they have no knowledge of it. It's an old raggedy plane, and they like in the wilderness near mountains and trees and stuff like that. She don't know how to have the correct altitude. She don't know anything about anything, and plus it's low on gas. So like I said, that she already had the guy, the original pilot, Mark Wilbert. To me, his role in this movie was really unnecessary. This movie would have been just as fine with just the FBI agent and the witness trying to make it through the wilderness. I mean, Mark Wilbert, his role was useless. I mean, he was useless as a bull with tits, to be honest. To me, he made the movie, he didn't add to the movie at all. To me, I'm actually ashamed of him for planning a movie like this. And don't get me wrong, I haven't gave my review yet, but I'm going to tell you this. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen. It did have some occasional, action things, and some of the dialogue was kind of funny, besides all the taping talk, the word taping, what I'm trying to say. I can't say the other word because of YouTube guidelines and regulations. All that kind of talk, I didn't really like it. It made me uncomfortable. He kept talking about it, and he said something about it maybe 20 or 30 times. And so I didn't really appreciate that part. So to me, Mark Wahlberg, you get this up yours for your role in this movie. That's what you get. In fact, you get some charges pressed on you. You get some movie charges, terrible movie charges. You shouldn't even play that role. You should have said no, thank you. I don't know if you need the money or what. You look kind of chubby in this movie. I hope that's just the clothes you had on. You look kind of chubby, and I hope that's not really a bald head, because if it is, it made us older guys look bad, because that looks rough, bro. And like I said, your role in the movie was unnecessary completely. If the movie would have been the same movie without him in it, to be honest. But all he did was kept talking about what I was saying he was talking about, and his little phony fight scenes. Because at the end of the day, if they crashed, he would have crashed too. So as they get closer to where the guy on the land is trying to guide them to, she can actually see a runway. She sees two different runways, and all of a sudden, a fighter pilot airplane was like on the side of him. She was speaking to him. She said, "Do you realize that it's another plane that's out here?" And he was like, "Yeah, they just to guide you to the land." And the guy, the original pilot, Mark Wahlberg, he was trying to tell her, "No, they ain't here. That you better duck him. They here to shoot you down. They here to shoot you down. They don't want him to land on the ground because you don't know who's what." So at the time she was saying that, she decided to give her female boss a call again, and she didn't answer the phone. So then she decided to call the male boss again, and she let him know, "Hey, I know what you're doing and where she at. She's on top of it." I already let her know, and he let her know that she died in a car accident somewhere. So the female FBI agent, she really started freaking out, like, "Yes, I'm gonna have him. We're gonna testify you. We're gonna put you away." And he was like, "You'll never make it. You'll never make it to testify against me. You don't know who I got working for me." All that kind of stuff. It was very predictable. I mean, you seen it a mile away. The whole story, you seen it a mile away. You seen it a mile away. I mean, so as they get more closer to the landing strip, the plane wobbling. She don't know what she's doing. So the guy on the phone, he's still guiding her how to do it. Plane wobbly and all hitting the ground, and of course the door being open. So the guy, first pilot, Mark Wahlberg, he just flies out the plane and gets hit by a fire truck. Because there's fire trucks and things like that waiting because they know it's gonna be a crash landing. So they finally land. Tore the plane all up. I mean, it was all over the place. It was about to explode. So they finally grabbed him out the plane. They grabbed the guy Topper Grace out the plane because he was all messed up. So the EMS grabbed him, and they put him in an ambulance and things like that. And as she was sitting there, the female FBI agent, she noticed that one of the EMS guys looked kind of strange. So she decided to just follow. She grabbed her gun, and she just happened to go over. She met the guy who was guiding her to the ground. She was about to walk and speak to him and tell him, "Thank you for helping me get on the ground safely." And as she saw that, she saw the guy walking over to the EMS, the ambulance, and she saw him close the door. So she went over to the ambulance, and as she opened the door, the guy had a bag over the guy top of Grace's head, suffocating him. So she shoots him. She shoots him and saved the guy. And the other, the head guy, of course, he's going to get prosecuted because they got the living witness. And the movie pretty much went off. I'm going to say this. This movie had some exciting moments. A lot pretty good dialogue, with the exception of all that taping talk. I didn't like all that. Like I said, Mark Wahlberg, he didn't have to be in the movie at all. His whole point in the movie was just terrible. I'm ashamed of him for doing it. And Mel Gibson, I'm coming for you this time. You should know better. You made the movie Passion of Christ. You made Apocalypto. You made Braveheart. How can you lower yourself down to make a movie like this? I'm not saying this is the worst movie in the world, and by no means am I saying it's good. This movie is not good at all. But if you don't have something to do, say for instance, like you got some free time and it's a Tuesday, some movie theaters on Tuesdays you can get in for $5. If you can get in there for $5 on a Tuesday and you absolutely have nothing else to do, you got a choice between going to the dentist or going to see that, you might can squeeze that in. You might can go ahead and squeeze. But by no means am I telling you to go and see this. No means. What I'm telling you is, it's not terrible, and it's by no means good. So it's somewhere in there, right under the line of just barely making it. Like I said, I'm ashamed of Mel Gibson. This man, he come from such high grounds to make a movie like this. I mean, it was pointless. They showed too much in the preview. The little scenes they did show in the preview, we seen the movie and that was about it. Mark Wahlberg, I'm ashamed of you. I didn't like the role you played. It didn't make no sense. It was nasty. It was to the point where he kept saying it so much that you like squirm in the seat every time he said it. So it was like, why? What was the point of that? I didn't understand why they had to have that in the movie. So I'm going to rate this movie like I always say. I'm going to tell you how I rate my movies. I rate my movies starting off 5 out of 5 Turbodome Soldiers is the best. 0 out of 5 Turbodome Soldiers is the worst. I'm going to give this movie a 1.7. 1.7 out of 5 Turbodome Soldiers. Which means if you got nothing else to do and you can get it for $5 or less, and you just bored to death, yeah, you can go and that's it. It wasn't really boring. I didn't get bored out. It kept my attention the entire time. So I can say that, besides all the nasty talking, I kept hearing, like I said, Mark Wahlberg, his whole role was just, I didn't really need it. I got more of an adrenaline rush watching her try to fly the plane through the conditions in the sky. It was snowing, and by it being in Alaska, like I said, there's a lot of trees and mountains and stuff. So I got more of a rush from that right there. Mark Wahlberg, you get this. You get this. Up yours. Don't ever play a role like that again, bro. You done came too far, played in too many great movies to take a role like that. You get that to somebody else. You get that to somebody else. All money is not good money, and that right there was not good money. You was terrible. You was terrible. I'm not gonna blame Mel Gibson for you because you shouldn't have took the role. You should have had somebody else play that role. Mel Gibson, I'm mad at you for writing it. I guess you just needed some money because you made a big deal about you already filming the movie Lethal Weapon 5. So I guess you needed some little extra cash, so you made this little predictable movie that really didn't make much sense, but like I said, a little bit entertaining. You needed some of that Lethal Money 5 money. I know what you did. BG ain't stupid. BG know what you did. Anyway, this BGDINO. Shout out to Dante Show Forever. Shout out to Miss Jersey. Subscribe to her channel. She's Forensic 8888. And also subscribe to Mr. June 5th. They both do funny content. They do stories. Mr. June 5th, he does live interviews with people. Subscribe to that channel. We all one big family from the Dante Show Network. This BGDINO, Turbodome Soldier. Salute.